In between the town of Rovitz and the town of Lunden, there's a vast grassland. These towns are the edges of the two kingdoms, Skelia and Meria, and the area in between them is acting as a border. For the longest time I wanted to do something with this vast grassland, and today we are starting it. This area here will be transformed into an ancient forest that has separated these kingdoms for thousands of years, but also has been the place for many conflicts and wars in between these kingdoms. So I want to build a forest that tells the story of age, but also tells the story of conflict and mystery. We will also build a road going through this forest here and finally connecting the two towns, but also these two kingdoms. I also want to expand the lore of Ushea by adding a new species of humanoids to this world here. So inside this forest there will be signs of small civilizations of another fantasy race living on the continent. I'm very excited for that. Now the first thing I want to add to this forest here, a massive ancient oak tree. I'm so happy with the way the Elden Oak turned out. You can see all the branches are all crooked and all over the place, and it also kind of looks like it has multiple trunks, which is such a cool feature for a very old tree like this. We have scars of previous trunks that are broken off and died off, like over here, up in this trunks over here as well, and we have another one on this side here, like there's some dead wood and stuff, and also hollowing in the trunk, which I will show you in just a little bit. And I just think it all kind of comes together and creates this mystical and fantastic kind of vibe for this place. And it's definitely what we're going for, because as established, this is a sacred place for the indigenous people living in what will be the forest around here. I've added these stones surrounding this place because if you remember from back in the day when we built Lunden, we added this kind of circular stone foundation or building there as well, and kind of just left it open to, there's some people that has been here before the current settlement, and they set up these circular stone structures, and we don't know what they are, but now we're tying that together with the Elden Oak over here. Being also a sacred place. So likely the civilization here and the civilization that were at the location of Lunden back in the day are all connected. So yeah, very happy with this. Let's take a look at what's happening below the trunk here as well. As you can see, it's hollowed out, and this is a sacred place where the people come and bury their dead. So as you can see here, there's all like these carvings inside here. They're carving out all these ornate details into the root system itself, and it just wraps around and leads down here into underground, where we have some of these like small caves or alcoves where they bury their dead. It's rather creepy, but still kind of mystical in a way. And this leads all the way down to a little water source. It's almost transparent here, but there's some water down here. You can kind of see the bubbles. So they kind of believe that the water source here is holy and sacred. So they come down here and they wash their dead ones, and then they bury them into the cave below the massive sacred tree. Now I want to start building the forest, or kind of growing the forest outside the Elden tree here, and it will be all outside this green line I've put up here. So from here on out there will be forest, and I think it's going to look cool when we have this massive oak tree in the center and like an opening around it, and then have dense forest all around. there we have it. A massive forest is now surrounding the old oak tree in the center here. Well, it's not massive yet, but it will grow, it will be expanded on and built on, but I think it's really cool, and especially the fact that we're now completely enclosing this ancient oak tree here, and I think the forest looks pretty cool. Especially I like this part over here where it's a little denser. Yeah, I think it's really awesome. So I will continue expanding on this, and we have all this open space over here to play with as well and turn into more or less forest. But the idea I have here now is something that we will work on next, and that is to implement like structures and stuff into the forest. And as you can see, I've already built a tiny house here, like a farmhouse, very cozy, inspired by the style we have in Rovitz, and yeah, it's oops, there we go. It's a pretty cute little farmhouse here, pretty cute. And I will add another one over here, and this will be for a lumberjack. So the idea is that I want to have areas of the forest that is either being chopped down or already cut down to add some variation to the forest, and I think that's going to look really cool. So that is probably the next thing I will start on. I am truly loving this place here. The way this forest here just organically shapes up around the houses, the path, this small creek here and everything. It feels very alive and very realistic in a way as well. I love how it goes from like very sparse forest here and then denser and denser as you approach the old oak here. And the way these two small houses here kind of hug the road, and you can kind of see there's a little bridge here. We even have some meadows in between here, like this with some flowers. I think it's really cool. This house here is very simple. I have a little kitchen area like that, and then a little bedroom in the back. So super simple stuff, but it works. And this is, as I've already mentioned, the lumberjack, and he's currently busy chopping down this section of the forest here. And I just love this view when you have some of the tall pines, like all slender and stuff, just standing left behind, and then we have all these stumps and some fallen logs, and over here you can see stacking them as well. It looks really cool. And then next to that we have another area that has been chopped up or chopped down, I guess, maybe last year or the year before that, and you can see it's already starting to grow new shoots here, new trees coming in here, and it's more overgrown. You can still see some of the forest or tree stumps here, so I think that looks very cool as well, and it tells a little bit of a story of how this forest here is maintained and grows over time. So I think that's a nice feature. I've also added a little bit of stuff over here, like a little bridge, just a super simple bridge crossing with this small path here, and then some ruins of an old house here like that, and then some trees and a little campsite over here. Someone traveling between Rovitz, which you can see in the horizon there, and then Lunden, which is all the way over there. So they're stopping by here, just sleeping a little bit before continuing their travel. The next thing I want to do now is to work a little bit on this other side of the creek here. But before we get to that, let me show you a little bit of stuff as well. I added a little intersection here where we have some old statues. Nobody knows how old this is. Might be thousands of years old, who knows, but it's kind of here, and it's acting as a natural place of dividing the road. And it will lead down to here, where I want to do a sawmill for chopping the logs here into planks. So I think that's going to look really cool as well over here. And then down the creek here we actually have a little beaver dam. I think that's a really cool feature as well, just kind of telling the story of some animals living around here. But the idea is to fill this section here with some more denser forest as well, slowly crawling up the mountainside here. So I guess that will be next. And there we have it, another part of the forest built here using the schematics we have used all over this place here. And it looks really cool. I love how it's fading towards the river here, or the small creek. And then it also leads to a small meadow over here, which is cool, which also leads to the sawmill that we built. And it's very simple, but it works. It's close to the lumberjack over there, so just imagine they work on all these planks and stuff like that, and you can send stuff down the creek here. Actually no, they can't because of this, so it makes sense that it's a sawmill. They make planks and then they can transport that down to the city or town over there. For the future, I want to do more stuff over here, and one of those things is to build a little settlement up here in this little valley here, and I'm not entirely sure where to go about it, but I want to do something a little bit more fantasy inspired, and maybe some sort of dwarven thing that is kind of separated a little bit but also tied into the rest of the forest. Then I want to continue expanding this forest that we have in like patches of more densely areas and meadows and things like that as we get towards Lunden over here. And then finally I want to do an old fortress up here, which will be built to kind of signal that this has been part of a battlefield back in the day and has been a massive part of the history of the two kingdoms of Gelia and Meria, of controlling this area. So I want to build that as well, but that is for an upcoming video. And that is everything we will be doing for today's video. So let's end this video here with something we usually don't do, but let's make a small cinematic of just checking out everything and checking out the vibe. And while you watch that, make sure to hit that like button and consider subscribing if you haven't. And I will see all of you guys later. It's been Viggoman, and I'm out.